love that Pugna pick. There's no counter towards it right now. You can argue the Ogre Magi is at least has the potential to kind of slow him down and make him kind of second guess whether he should decrep himself. But in most situations, it seems like no one's going to have a free game on the Pugna. Not to mention, John, with this kind of draft, Virtus.pro's really going to put on quite a quick pace on Winstrike, and they do have the ability to control this kind of draft from VP, but it's not going to be easy. Not with a Prophet, not with a Pugna, not even with an Oracle Earthshaker. It's going to be very hard to control these heroes up.
10 seconds remaining.
Definitely is. It's going to be interesting to see just how far Winstrike can push their combination off here, and you'd expect the lane matchups to go fairly straightforward as well with Winstrike. I mean, you have flexibility. You could go with the Mirana Centaur, or the Mirana with the Gyro, I guess, if you want to do that. You do have a setup as well. It's just not the best, but I think you're going to be likely seeing the Centaur and Mirana. Although Centaur Ogre is fairly tanky and hard to deal with, but I think you want that setup for the Mirana. So we're going to be seeing that coming out. And depending on what VP does pick, that can be rough. But as you mentioned, just having the Oracle around counteracts that a lot. Just having the Nature's Prophet jumping all over the place, rotating early on if the option's there, messes up a lot of that. And I like VP's ban out. The Broodmother is something that can play into this kind of draft, especially with a Centaur. Just having that Spider running that much faster in and out of fights is terrifying. I do have to say that they do have the Shaker to kind of deal with it. It's not the direct counter, especially if you don't catch those Spiderlings anyway. It can be a tricky job, but it's something that does play pretty well against Broodmother. We do see that picked up against the hero every now and again when it does slide through. Still, that does tell us that perhaps there's something specific VP wants coming out from their last pick. And I still wonder about Winstrike. It's like their draft is solid. It's not particularly off base. None of this is completely bad. I think they definitely lack a bit more in the team fight aspect. And when it comes down to it, they don't have as much control, and their power spikes are a bit off. VP though close out with the Faceless Void, and I like this combination already. I really like the draft from VP, especially if they can play around that Chronosphere timing quite well. That's the key thing when we see that Void. You want to make sure that Chrono is always being used when it's available, always finding those kills, transitioning to a push with your Pugna and NP. And you have to remember as well, NP did get slight changes to his ultimate, so he gets extra damage for every creep killed by his ultimate. That's going to allow him, if he's using it in the middle of a team fight, right before a push, if he does get a lot of creeps killed with his spell, that's just going to mean that these towers will melt that much faster.
I agree. I think this is a fantastic draft by VP. Winstrike, they really don't have the tools available to go up against this Void. And I guess maybe they have one last pick. So they have an opportunity to try and turn this around a bit. They do still require some kind of mid-core as this last pickup, and only time will tell what it is going to be. They still have a minute left of reserve time. The only way I see Winstrike being able to contest VP during this game, just solely based on draft one, it seems like they're really going to have to try and win out these lanes. And by win, I mean dominate. Like, it can't just be a win. And that's not going to be easy. VP are very, very good at winning lanes.
Oh yeah, it's going to be rough. I think with the heroes you have, it can be done, especially since Faceless Void is not the strongest laner, right? He has to play around his cooldown on his time walk, and once you kind of bait that out, it's very easy for whatever Winstrike throws to clean up. So as long as VP is going to have to play a bit cautiously with her Void, but everyone else can play a bit more aggressive, and Winstrike does close out with the Templar Assassin. So you've got the TA Gyrocopter for your physical course, you've got the Ogre Magi to beef up their attack rate. It doesn't quite tie in the issues they have with the draft. Like, they still lack in those big team fight engagements. So they're going to have to play the pick-off game and hope that VP doesn't clump up. But VP with their draft definitely looks like they want to force Winstrike to face them as 5. Like, you're not going to be running around solo with a Shaker or the Faceless Void. They're going to be paired up every now and again. And when you clump those heroes up, it's always going to favor VP for the most part.
Well, Johnny, if I may, I was watching TI9's True Sight for like the 15th time last night, and
Yeah.
there's one thing that stuck out.
Oh
Is
yeah.
when they were I can't remember which game it was, but there was the game where Thompson was playing Pugner. And the reason they picked Pugner naturally is the opposing team, Liquid at the time, I believe they were called, were had all physical damage.
Oh yeah.
I'm shocked, to say the least, that they chose a TA into a Pugner. Like, you've already got a Gyrocopter who's going to struggle in these team fights up against Resolution's Pugner, and now you go for a TA. And although I agree that TA just either wins the lane or goes into the jungle and still evens out the lane, but it's up against the Pugner. Like, up until you get that BKB up, Resolution's going to have his way with Young G, and there's nothing he can do about it.
It's gonna be rough for Winstrike. They're gonna have to somehow make the most out of this. I think the key thing is tempo. Perhaps trying to force VP out during the downtime when their Void is weak and when the Pugnant's vulnerable. You're gonna have to really ward up quite well. I think that's gonna be the key thing for Winstrike. They need really good control on the map. They need to try to leverage their long range follow-ups with that Mirana and the scouting capabilities that Hero can give you to try to shut down what VP has. It's not going to be an easy job, but if they can pull it off, we have seen TAs and gyrocopters really scale fast. They're going to have to prioritize those BKBs, as you mentioned, but once those are up, it's going to be a bit harder for our Pugna to have as much in terms of mitigating that damage output.
Yeah, I agree. This is going to be an interesting game from Winstrike. I'd love to see them put up a great fight. I think everyone can agree, even the viewers watching, this is going to be rough for Winstrike. But they're going to try their best, and we can't make predictions before the game starts. But Dota Plus can. Dota Plus, Winstrike has a 100% win rate, apparently. Here we go again. You know, Dota Plus, I've got a funny feeling about this one. I don't know if it's fair to say that Winstrike has 100% yet. In fact, I think it may need to be switched up a bit, but only time will tell. We'll find out if Dota Plus is right about this one. Oh boy, oh boy! It just doesn't agree with me, this Dota Plus thing, John. It's
No,
I give them my
not really.
money. My credit card. It's paying it off, and this is what I get.
Yeah, well, you can't complain. I mean, you paid for this. You know what you were getting into. And there are certain systems that just don't work well. Or it could be just it could just be that Dota Plus knows something we don't. Maybe they've seen this exact lineup played before. Maybe they've simulated this with their servers. Maybe Valve has run simulations of matchups before and knows an instant win lineup like this. I highly doubt that though. And I would not make any bets based off Dota Plus's calculations at pregame. 0 is just, I mean, that's just solo. I like that. I like Solo's voice lines. It's something that's very relatable, I think. So spamming that right at the start, setting himself up for what he can expect as a POS, well, maybe probably POS 6 kind of Oracle, but
Well,
it's
there's
all set for that.
nothing else you really want if you play position 5 every game, John. You
Oh, yeah.
basically just want to die every time. I mean, it's not exactly enjoyable as a position 5. It's a rough life. Nobody appreciates you.
Not enjoyable. It's not what I'd call it. I think some people just really, they enjoy that kind of lifestyle. They enjoy those kinds of choices, and living that out in Dota is just cathartic. I think so. I do appreciate what Solo is trying to highlight there. Just the catharticness of playing the sacrificial Oracle.
Thank you for that, John. Top lane, VP, setting up as 3. And Winstrike going to be set up as well with 3 heroes of their own, and there should be a little bit of a contest here for that top bounty. The Winstrike do seem to have an early game advantage with these 3 heroes. Like, you've got a Mirana there, set up and ready with the arrow. She'll throw it out, Solo will dodge it. And that'll be it. They'll get the bounty, they'll back off. Had that arrow landed, I would have been saying something completely different, but it is not the case.
Yeah, just an even 2-2 trade. It's going to be interesting to see where exactly our supports end up. Does look like TSA is going to work his way to that bot lane. So it's going to be that Centaur Mirana lane that we talked about earlier on. Or He's going to try to go for an early movement here. It does look like he is. He's actually going into that jungle with the arrow, trying to find something.
And no one's on the mid prophet. Which surprises me a bit. I thought you had the advantage as the Pugna, but well, with the mid prophet, Young G shouldn't necessarily have as rough of a time. Can still be hard with the refraction charges. Of course, no one can use the treants to just slowly tick those away. But on the same token, Young G can always clear out those treants with side blades and get even more CS.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting shakeup. We expected a Pugna, we get the NP instead. I'm not sure what to make of this. You rarely see the NP up against TA. I think for the most part you do see the Pugna, but Resolution is up top and he's applying a lot of pressure onto the Gyrocopter already.
Why the hell not? Gade won't feel quite as comfortable running into Resolution on that Pugna because he's going to cop a Nether Blast every time he does. And Zayak, nice Fisher block. Kikid will be forced to take a bit more harassment out from Resolution, but no kill potential there quite yet. I'm gonna wait till the level 3 mark at least before you really try to kill anyone off up at this top lane. Looking down at the bot lane, which is the one we haven't quite looked at yet, you have DK Phogos and TSA. I've got to say, it's not going to be easy to hit these arrows. Of course, if Phogos gets the hoof stomp off first, then sure. But TSA, he's probably going to have to rely on his own ability to just land these arrows every time.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. Like, the clearance is not the easiest thing to get. And, of course, you do have Solo there to kind of mitigate the damage output anyway. So, the amount that you are going to be getting from any sort of kill potential is probably not as much as you'd expect still. Just one small misstep and VP is going to be paying dearly, so that's something they have to always be conscious about.
As we see mid lane, no one already TPing back to the fountain, but I guess you could say one of the great positives about having that tree mid is he can always just TP back with his own ability, so no one does have that reset potential every single time, or at least every 40 seconds for now. Young G is going to have to bear with this. It's pretty much every time no one gets low, he's going to do that over and over again. Assuming he has a TP available and his own teleportation. But so far, so good for Young G. 16 last hits, 5 denies. Looks like we'll make that 18 last hits now. And, well, Solo. Bot lane finds TSA on the Mirana. The Oracle just picked up a very easy kill with Purifying Flames, I'm sure. And yeah, level 2 Purifying Flames does a lot of damage with no cast time and no cast animation. And Winstrike, it's going to get a little bit harder as this lane goes on.
Definitely is. Like, they're kind of missing out here with that Mirana. I think you want to push that early advantage. You want to leverage that arrow into either kills or big creeps to get yourself EXP. And if you don't get that, well, it's a bit rough.
Zayak top lane, falling low on the Earthshaker. We'll be able to get away as Resolution just turns around again, just decrepifying away on this Gyrocopter. And Kikid gonna try and harass Zayak a bit while all this is happening and try to keep them away from his POS 1 Gyro. He's gonna have to sacrifice a lot of his own HP, and luckily for him, he still does have a set of tangos left, so he can afford to keep running up and hitting these guys. But Zayak gonna cancel the clarity off. Another clarity being cancelled off, in fact, Kikid. Yet Fisher and Resolution, at the least, does fall quite low. Does have more tangos that just came on the courier, and he's going to remain in the lane.
Yeah, a bit of a slower start for both teams. We've only got that one kill. You'd expect a bit more aggression, especially from Winstrike for the supports they have. But so far, they have just been matching that farming pace coming out from VP. VP is happy to oblige. Their heroes need a bit more time to cook up. So they're just happy trading farm. I don't think they're going to be too upset. Winstrike, around the 10-minute marks, I'd say, when you'd really want to see them kick up. In fact, top lane.
Make a dive in again. An attempt on Resolution, but it is just too hard right now to take down that Pugna. And well, now Zayak going to cop, in fact, Kikid going to cop a lot of damage. He won't die. And he does have the headdress, so he can sit there and passively heal, but he may in fact just run back towards the Fountainers bot lane. It's like Phogos copped a bit of damage while we weren't looking. But no kill attempt coming out from VP. They're just free farming on Kuman. And every time Phogos gets close solo, he just uses the Purifying Flames and Fortune's End. Phogos just can't really do anything. Just has to take it as Kuman now jumps in and double bashes straight off the bat. We do have the rotation from no one. Sprout will not be great with the pounce, but it doesn't matter. Solo had the follow-up damage. Or Phogos has again been left all alone. But top lane, looks like Resolution was getting jumped on, but now he turns onto the Ogre. And, well, Rocket Barrage was still going on. And unfortunately with Decrepify, it's a lot of damage.
Yeah, that wasn't quite the outcome Resolution was hoping for. I'm pretty sure he was looking for that kill on Kakid. Not quite enough damage. Of course, the Ogre Magi is just that much tanky.
No one got a double damage. Young G, he doesn't have mana for his refraction. Ouch. Solo was there with the rotation on the Oracle, and he was just pretending to farm up the mid lane for a bit, as no one was running to get that double damage rune. And it's going to make it a 3-1, and we said in the draft stage, they have to win out these lanes. I wouldn't call this winning.
No, definitely not. Like, you are losing out in that mid lane, especially now with that one death. You've got a really active Nature's Prophet. No one has really just been active on the map making stuff happen. And you still are finding pretty good farm on your Gyrocopter. It's not quite up there with your Faceless Void. I think that's what it's really going to be boiling down to. The fact that Kuman has not really been shut down with that dual lane. We were expecting from Winstrike to really leverage the setup with that arrow.
Oh, another rotation top lane. No one with the Nature's Wrath. My god, that is a lot of damage.
Jeez.
And that sets them up for a T1 top push. They have the Treants, they have Nether Blast at level 3. There is nothing that's going to be here to stand in the way of VP and that T1.
No. And they've got additional damage on no one because he got some kills on creeps for that Wrath of Nature. So the towers just melt every single time he does that. And you're going to have to watch out. You know, it doesn't take too long for the NP to get that happening. It's a very short cooldown. That's a lot of pressure you can expect on the map.
That was a very recent change that was made to the MP, if I'm correct.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out it's pretty good. Kuman now, bot lane, has Chrono. You really want to go after the Mirana, I think, right? Phogos may still be a little bit tanky with that Bracer and Chainmail. So even with the Chrono, I don't think they'd have the damage output. But the Mirana, that's a much easier target, assuming you catch her.
Oh yeah, definitely an easier time, but Winstrike does rotate a lot of heroes down to that bot lane. You even have Young G way farther back in that jungle. It's going to be harder for VP to get any action going here. They do spot it out with a ward, though.
Yeah, Kuman, not going to be worried. He has Time Walk at level 3. Yeah, this is going to be a lot of wasted time for Winstrike. You had two supports there that were essentially doing nothing, and the best they can do now is try to take an outpost, but TSA, it may cost him his life as Fortune's End going to start flying out. He will leap away, but Kuman does not want to chase. Do you have any leap charges left? Yeah, you'll have one, and that'll be enough to jump out of the Sprout. And they are unwilling to commit the Chrono, and I think that's still okay though. Like, Kuman is free farming, so he's not really going to mind if the cooldown of that Chrono is still there.
Yeah, I don't think that was going to be the cleanest fight anyway, because there were a lot of heroes nearby, although Kiki.
Top lane, Zayak taking damage. The Gyro with the Rocket Barrage, Rezo will Decrepify. He does have the life drain, but looks like he didn't really want to go into it with the Ogre around. Thing was, Kiki didn't have mana anyway for the Fire Blast, and I believe it was on cooldown. So he could have attempted that kill, but we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. That would have been a nice little pick-off going the way of Winstrike if they did find it. Still, all this time being expended is giving Young G a lot of space to farm up. He's at 93 last hits now at 10-minute mark. At a good 5k net worth, so 600 gold ahead of our NP. And the progression is, at the very least, going well for our TA. So if they do find that timing with the Desolator Blink, they can be online, up and running very early on.
Kuman Did cast Chrono for a second, but does cancel it off. And he just second thinks it, and I still think Phogos is a bit too tanky.
Oh yeah. It's not the target to go for with that Chrono. I think you're really looking for the supports. Maybe the Templar Assassin if she does make an appearance. I think that's something you can opt for as well. But the Centaur, a bit too much, right? Bracer, Ring of Health, not the easiest target to take out.
Well, Moonlight Shadow's been popped, but Phogos was in Vision. So they know that everyone's in Viz right now. And Cumin backs off, Solo just TP's out. A bit of miscommunication there. Like, generally speaking with Moonlight Shadow, John, you don't want anyone on the map showing.
Yeah, although Cumin is still around.
Can TSA land an arrow by himself? Cumin shows himself. No arrow will be attempted. Kikid now, though, will get spotted by Solo and Zayak. Fortune's End. Gonna connect. TSA will rotate with DK Phogos. Now no one has a Blade Mail and does TP in. He already finds Kikid with that Nature's Wrath, and they go on to Zayak, but Zayak, he has the false promise. Now DK copping the Echo Slam, and Kuman, he still doesn't need to Chrono. It's unnecessary. Time will go on. No one will find another double kill. And the only positive right now for Winstrike is Young G is still farming very well on the TA. He's at the top of the net worth, but no one now makes the jump. Rezo, Decrepify. Young G, he's out of mana, but he does walk out of range. And Rezo, he might have to back out now as Kikid and TSA have joined in. No. Fortune's End and Life Drain there. Purifying Flames, not enough on Kikid. He'll survive through it. And Winstrike, some close calls from this Dire side, and VP, they just don't care. They just keep running at them.
Yeah, I like this gameplay coming out from VP, just never letting off the accelerator, just all the way in, applying that pressure on the map. I mean, they didn't even lose Zayak there. He managed to get his Echo Slam off, although Solo
gets caught. Kikid is falling low, but they'll have the TAs follow up. Solo, don't tell me you get out. No. TSA, he does land this arrow. And Kikid will happily take the outpost. So that'll be a nice little support pickup for Winstrike. Does go to Young G as well, so you have a nice little burst of gold, and well, Young G gives him a step closer to his Blink Dagger.
Yeah, like every kill counts at this point for Winstrike. It's not as much gold as before, but you are still getting a good amount, especially on that TA. Still have a Chrono.
He's thinking about it. Trap did scout him out and does slow him down. He will not go for it. Winstrike now, I mean, one thing we didn't really talk about, that mid-tier 1 for VP went down very early, and that does open the jungle up for the side of Winstrike, as no one didn't realize he got body blocked by a second from Kikid, but Kikid has no follow-up to it.
No.
Still the Centaur, the neutrals helping out the side of Winstrike. Now Kikid being blocked a little bit, Purifying Flame's gonna be there from Solo. Kikid still running, and now the Stampede, they want to turn this. Young G jumps in after Solo, but the false promise is there, but they found the TA and no one. But here comes Kuman. He adds spice to the team fight with that Chrono, but it's not going to be enough. Fisher will be there from Zayak. He needs Echo, but it's on a 10-second cooldown. It's going to be a big win for Winstrike. They find a 2-for-0 trade, and they would have found a 3-for-0 had Solo not committed the false promise.
Yeah, that's really rough for VP, but props to Winstrike finally getting that aggression up and running. VP just kind of playing into that. You've got to be a lot more careful. I think they're going to need a few more sentries in this upper part of the map. They've got good coverage on the bottom jungle, but nothing up here. Need to keep a watchful eye on those entrances to ensure that doesn't happen again, because if Winstrike keeps finding these kills, their lead is just going to build up, and they're at the 3k advantage now from that last fight.
Phogos spots out no one. Trap gonna be set. He does have help. Solo doesn't have false promise, but arrow does connect. No one's starting to follow, but Zayak has Echo. This could be bad, or maybe not. They're bursting him down slowly. Phogos getting taken. There's the Echo being dropped onto TSA and Phogos, but Zayak almost dead. Still Decrepify will save the day. Young G gonna chase him down with Bloodlust. Solo TP's out of there. In fact, never mind. It wasn't Solo. It was no one on the Prophet. And somehow nobody dies. Everyone walks away with their lives intact. And Winstrike. Ooh, they're feeling the energy now, John. The momentum's going. The blood's flowing. And this is what we love to see.
Oh yeah, this is exactly how Winstrike needs to keep playing. As mentioned again, they want this lineup to be up and running early on. They're applying that pressure as fast as possible. They understand, with that chrono down from Kuman, he's not going to be around to back up the rest of VP. So they're not going to be playing into the Faceless Void for some time. That's something they can definitely abuse. And they are pretty much trying to. They don't manage to find the kills then. But you do feel VP, they're going to have to play a bit more cautiously. They did expend the Echo Slam as well. So Zayak's not going to have that tool for another minute and a half. And that's still a big opening for Winstrike.
Young G, he'll set up for that bot tier 1. Young G does get it. They have that early Deso, but top lane, no one. By himself, they don't get the Fire Blast off Kikid, actually using it on a Treant. Was that am I seeing things? Did you just stun a Treant for no reason?
Perhaps.
Could have been the siege creep. Just trying to slow down the tier 2 going down, and I think it may have been. That makes a bit more sense, but the tier 2 still goes down. At the very least, Phogos does get the deny off.
Yeah, they do take the gold away, which is pretty big for a lineup like VP's, which wants those objectives early on. Still, you're losing control on the map. Very nice scan coming out from Winstrike, spotting out the smoke, but they could think it's a Roche instead. They're TPing in to try to respond to a potential Roche.
But they saw the scan. It went green. It went green. Kikid! No! Gets caught out. And Kikid, he saw green. He thought he was looking at traffic lights, John. He thought we better go now. And well, he's a tanky target, but he gets run over by the side of VP.
Yeah, that's surprising. His partner canceled off his TP, and he opted to finish it. Unfortunately, he does pay with his life. Still, not the biggest loss for Winstrike. You know, it's just to support Ogre Magi. That's what he does. You can make something happen with that space. Perhaps maybe find a nice jump onto no one. They are clumped around.
This could be huge. But Kuman's around, and he has that chrono, and that's something you've always got to be worried about if you are Winstrike. He also does have the Diffusal Blade up now, so he's got plenty more damage with these auto attacks.
Oh.
An arrow does land on no one, but he's got plenty of help. And Winstrike, they're not set up for this tier 1 defense. And so suddenly VP, they'll find another tier 1 on top of that tier 1 and tier 2 up at the top lane. And Winstrike, that early advantage they had by taking that mid tier 1, not really existent anymore.
Definitely. They're not getting as much from this map as you'd expect. Resolution up top onto Kikid. Drops him down to 300 HP from full. Not enough to clean him up, though.
Phogos has to be careful mid lane. He has the blink, he jumps in, but no one, again, has help. Solo has the false promise just in case, but he won't commit, and Kuman gets the chrono onto that TA, straight in the back lines. Still, can they save? Young G falling, and he gets bashed to death. Now the Gyro jumping in, but losing so much HP to no one, as well as Phogos. He's just been left alone. They're going to try and help, but the Echo, Zayak just fighting the whole creep wave, as well as 2 heroes. Zayak with the timing. And that tier 2 mid now going to go down again very easily. Winstrike will have no way to defend.
It's just rough for Winstrike, right? Like, they're trying to find that aggressive opening, but every single time their timing's just kind of off now. VP just going in with a punishment. They can transition to these objectives quite fast. I believe that was Zayak's Blink Dagger reveal as well, so they didn't know that tool would be up and running. So they just didn't expect it, and unfortunately VP, once you give them an inch, they take a mile. Take that tier 2 now, and the map is shrinking here for Winstrike. They need a lot more farm on their T8 and Gyrocopter before they are able to really stand up against this onslaught, but the map is getting a bit too small for both of these heroes to farm up.
Yeah, now VP, they take the opposing outpost, and it looks like they should be able to find 2 outposts for their troubles. No one is near his own outpost. He will... No one? Maybe assuming that outpost is bait, doesn't actually go for it. Meanwhile, Winstrike will go ahead and deny their outpost back. Still, you gotta help him out a bit there. Phogos, he'll make it in time, so... Winstrike, they get away with a nice play, denying the XP off from VP. And well, with that, they look to start a Roshan attempt apparently. Though VP are nearby, and that Treant is gonna scout them out. Can they take this fight? They have Stampede back up, and Phogos, he's in a stand-in position. No Chrono, no Echo Slam. They have the ability to try and win this as Stampede will be committed. And now Kikit, he gets out of there and they burst down solo straight away. No false promise either as Young G. He'll be the target though for Kuman. Kuman finds the kill. Now TSA on the Mirana, leaping away, but Zyak in position with the Echo now. But he won't commit yet. He'll hold out. But they've caught the gyro, and there's the Echo. Zyak again finding two, setting up for his team. The buyback was there from the Ogre, but he just runs the other way now. He knows there's no helping. A massive hoof stomp, but what good is it when you don't have a team around you? He blinks away, but it doesn't really matter. He does get taken out. And John, you sound very surprised. I wonder what it's about.
No one was really low and just TP'd out in front of everyone else right before they lost 3 heroes. You know, he just TP's out. Like, that was just perfect positioning from VP somehow. From what looked like a bit of a scattered fight, they didn't have Chrono. They did have Slam, and that was enough. In fact, no one just finds something else as well.
Yeah, Fisher connects onto TSA, and no one has the follow-up damage. And this mid-profit has become a real problem. Has the Maelstrom, has the Halberd, and has the Imp Claw to make matters worse. And Kuman has an Aegis. Also has Chrono, by the way. It was not committed during that last engagement. I believe it was still on cooldown the whole time. The VP, with that Chrono, with that false promise, look to start making plays again as they are cutting off the escape route for this gyro. No one. Actually gets the creep kill first before he tries for the Sprout. Gotta be efficient.
Gotta make that money.
You gotta make the money. It's no one. Doesn't really care for the kills anyway. They want the bot tier 1 and tier 2 towers. And they're the only outer towers remaining here for Winstrike. Once those are gone, this whole map belongs to VP now.
The defense is probably not going to be coming out, right? Like, the tools aren't quite there.
Mid lane, hoof stomp, Kuman, he just jumps in. Arrow, gonna be dodged, in fact taken by the creep. Stampede being committed, Kuman holding on to the Chrono, now commits it. He catches the Centaur, Stampede will not work this time around. And Resolution does take the kill. In fact, they found another. TSA, he has no leap charges. He'll use and TP, Resolution does not have enough damage.
He had no way of stopping that, unfortunately. Still, a nice kill going the way of VP.
Look at no one.
They might find more.
He's just going up against 2 by himself, and now Kuman will join in. Can't catch anyone. But it's not like they need to. They want the tier 2, and they get the tier 2.
Just like that. You really can't stop this push coming out from VP. Even the high ground is going to be very hard to defend with this kind of lineup. They can just play from afar, spam the Nether Blast with Resolution, and that's it. Or split push with ENP. It's going to be very hard to keep your lanes shoved out against this lineup from VP.
And you can see Young G on the TA desperately just trying to get his BKB up, and that might be the game changer, right? Because so many of these abilities, and especially the Pugner, is really what's haunting him this game. Once that BKB's up, the only concern you have is the Chrono. As well as that, the Gyro is also struggling quite a bit in farm. He's only got an Aghanim Scepter up, trying to go for a BKB of his own. And Winstrike, they've popped a Moonlight Shadow, but it looks like it was only for the purpose of placing down some deep wards on the opposing side of the map. And VP, well, they won't find them. Not yet anyway, but an Invis Rune is on the Earthshaker. He has Echo, and they seem to know where Winstrike are. Zyak just going to walk into them casually. DK goes after the Pugner, but his Mirana cannot follow up with the arrow. TSA going to use up the ES, but Resolution says not this time, or maybe it is this time. Rezo does not commit Nether Blast before Life Drain, and it does cost him. It's Kuman. Going to move up mid lane. Diffusal is there, and what a Manta dodge on that hoof stomp.
Dang.
Kuman. Does he have Chrono? He does not.
That dodge, though, right in the stomp. I mean, you know, stomp's not a fast skill. But
Echo! Ooh. Zyak catching out a huge target in the Gyrocopter. He is surely going to be able to walk out of this one. Kuman, he can't hold him down long enough. He does have the Aegis just in case he gets taken down himself. But he gets a time walk off. And now he does have Chrono officially up. And Winstrike, they've got to be aware of this.
Yeah, it's going to be, again, a rough fight to go into. I think VP, if they want to fight, they've got to do it now while the Aegis is still up. Should be expiring in maybe about a minute, so it doesn't have too much left at Aegis if they want to force a fight out. Still, it looks like VP is just going to step back, farm up, take over that jungle for a bit, and Winstrike try to smoke up.
They do, but have they not timed the Chrono timing properly? Maybe with the Echo down, they think maybe that's the chance? Like, Zayak has been very, very disruptive with these Echoes. VP, they return the favor. They smoke up. Resolution, going to be the bait for his team. DK Phogos should have scouted this out by now. And meanwhile, Zayak just staying away from his team. He doesn't have Echo anyway. Kuman goes for the Diffusal Blade on Kikid, and those bashes. Poor Ogre doesn't get a chance. And no one says, screw the team fight, I want towers. And it's straight up to the top lane again with TSA, jumps in, gets a Yules off, but misses the arrow. And that will not stop VP. Although maybe the Aegis expiring will, as Kuman does lose it. But I think with the Chrono, you're still happy to go on.
Oh, definitely. It should still be a push, although the... Oh?
Zayak, 20 seconds away from Echo. He tries to catch out the Mirana. Not quite that lucky. BKB now, going to be up with this Gyrocopter, so a 10-second charge ready to go for this team fight. You've also got the 10-second charge on Young G, but they haven't saved for buyback on this Gyrocopter, so it could be pretty disastrous as Kuman thinks about the Chrono. Not quite yet though. Phogos trying to go for the hoof stomp, baits out the Manta. Kuman just bashes his way to victory. Phogos, there's the Chrono. He finds both of them. He wants a Gyrocopter first. Rezo will take care of the Centaur, and now the ES. Well, he was Yules up for a second, but Young G's the real target, and now Decrep saves him as he commits another huge Echo. And they're just on point, VP. Even the Decrepify in the middle of all that on the ES, not allowing the TA to get that final tick of damage in with his auto attack. And that's going to allow for 2 Raxes, maybe even 3.
Yeah, there's no stopping this. You only have an Ogre Magi, you don't have any buybacks. These towers melt to all the heroes that VP has. They're going to go for the full Mega Creeps now. And they could go for the tier 4s afterwards. What's there to stop them?
Nothing. They will respawn very, very soon. But you're getting Megan. You may just call GG before the tier 4s even get attacked. Phogos gonna move in. He's gonna go for one last-ditch attempt, but it's all by himself. He goes for a hoof stomp, but there's no follow-up to it in the Stampede. It's not gonna save him. The Gyro now jumps in with his own BKB. They're gonna fight them without Chrono, and they do find no one on the Prophet. It's a big kill, but Kikid's also lost his life. But Kuman now falling low. No time walk, but Decrepify again gonna save his life. And Kuman, he will die just in the nick of time.
No.
Still the Gyro. Can he survive this? No one has brought back. And now, where are you TPing? No one. He is just TPing away as they're going to lose Zayak as well. And Winstrike, they hold on to 1 range Rax.
Yeah, they hang in there. They managed to punish VP for being a bit too far forward. Look, that's the start of the fight looked a bit rough. They blink in, they get the hoof stomp, but they don't manage to catch Kuman in. Looks like it's, it looks like it's about to fall apart still. The focus from VP did seem a bit scattered. They didn't have their ultimates up this time around. So it was a bit harder to take that team fight, and Winstrike understood that. They punish VP hard. They do find some good kills there. They save their last Rax, and they stay in the game. It's going to be very hard to hold on to that last Rax, though. And I checked the win probability, Mike. Dota Plus still says 100% for Winstrike, of course, as Dota Pluses want to do. But I think VP, they're only like a fight or 2 away from securing this right now. So Winstrike, they've got to play smart. They've got to find the right targets and find some great pickoffs. In fact, they found
Treant block. No one. He blocks the arrow with the Treants just in the nick of time. They're still going to jump in. Who's stopped? DK Fogos trying to find it and does get the Oracle, but that's not an easy target to go for. Now the Gyro, BKB up for Kuman, has the Chrono, commits it on one hero, but that's all he needs. The Gyro is the real problem. Now the Fisher to follow up. Still he's running away, but eventually does fall. Now Kakid, he'll be the target. In fact, TSA falling low on the Mirana. They jump back and with a huge hoof stomp from DK Fogos, but it's not enough for Zayak. Again with the Echo, and there's the GG call. They've had enough. And Zayak, I mean, if you're going to give anyone the MVP, this man, how many echoes does he have to hit for Winstrike to say, that's it, I can't do it anymore?
Way too many. But Winstrike, it looked like they had a couple of openings there. They just couldn't match up to what VP had. VP just had control the entire time. Their laning combination from Winstrike didn't quite pay off. I think they're going to have to reevaluate what they want coming out from these lanes, especially with that Mirana pick. Still, VP, a very clean win, 29-9, 30.5 minutes in. Really looking really solid here.
Would you say it was based on... Because personally, the way I view this game is naturally Virtus.pro looked fantastic. You can't take that away from them. They look great. They were landing... They had just great synergy together. So many times, but... We did talk about it. Winstrike with this draft, it does feel like they kind of locked themselves in a corner. Like, how many times did we see Resolution save his teammates with Decrepify?
A lot.
Just
right?
A lot.
There was so much value from the Oracle and Pugna. Like, as mentioned from draft, they kind of locked themselves in with that TA last pick. That really sealed their fate. They picked it into the Pugna. They picked it into the Oracle. And that just does not work. I think they've got to change up their drafting mentality there. And I think, they've got to work on that for sure. Like, the draft definitely played a pretty big part here as well.
All props to no one, by the way. I'm having a look at the damage graphs, and he is on top at 30,000 damage. That is some substantial damage, considering the game didn't last that long. Man, oh man, 30 minutes in, 30k damage, pretty darn good, no one. Congrats to VP. That's game number 1, though. This is an upper bracket best of 3. Winner will go to the upper bracket finals to face off up against... Apparently my memory is not very good, John, but Hellraisers is the team I was looking for. We were just casting them, John, but you can tell I'm getting old. So Hellraisers are still waiting, and right now VP are looking pretty good. Can they continue this streak? We'll find out in game number 2, coming up in about 5 to 10 minutes. We'll see you soon.